Hey folks, and welcome to my Best Games of 2021 video. While I thought my shakeup of trying out Let's Plays in 2020 was a change, it has nothing on what the channel went through in 2021. I finally decided to retire Dave's impressions and focus solely on my critique videos. It was going well too, until a new job and having to move late in the year threw a wrench in the works. I'm now thankfully settled, and hopefully in 2022 I should be releasing videos on a more consistent schedule. At the end of my Best of 2020 video, I joked that 2021 would finally be the year that I cleared out my backlog. Well, guess what? It happened. It turns out, not having to make videos out of every game I want to try allowed me to burn through the list in the last half of the year. It's such a freeing feeling. What it means, however, is just like every year, I've changed how I'm going to approach this best of year list. For new viewers, this is not a list of the best games released in 2021. This is a list of the best games I played in 2021. Actually, there will be no games from 2021 itself because I made a promise to myself last year that I would wait a year from release before playing any new game. I want to disconnect myself from the hype cycle and also solve the problem of a poor PC release needing patching before it's worth a look. Is this self-imposed rule difficult to follow? God, yes! Psychonauts 2 came out in August and I want to play it. Oh well, August 2022 will be here before I know it, and then I can see if it was worth the wait. Anyways, what this means is that the games list will likely have some games from the last 5 years on it, but it could also have games from the 2000s on it, and even the 90s. Gasp! As I'm no longer making impressions videos, but I still played a lot of games for impressions, I thought I'd break this list into two categories. The first will be the games I'm looking forward to playing more of. I had a small taste to see if I wanted to make a critique video, and I'm excited to eventually return to these games and start playing. Following this list will be my games of the year. This list is based off of the critiques I made, as I completed these games in their entirety. Each category will have a top 3. I'll explain why it's on the list, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, let's get started. After I retired my impressions, I was playing almost a new game each evening until I reached the end of my backlog. I only played the games for 30 minutes, but if I was interested enough in the game after that time, I added it to my critique list. What this resulted in is more games being added to my critique list than any previous year. And based off of that list, here's the top 3 games I can't wait to play more of. Hades! I'm not a big fan of roguelikes. I think it's because when I started this channel and I was making impressions videos on every game in the Humble Monthly bundles, I had to play a lot of them. And most of the ones on offer I found frustrating and tedious. I mean, I did get to play ones I enjoyed, like Spelunky, Nuclear Throne, Dead Cells, and Rogue Legacy, but the rhythms and game loops of the genre are something that's never clicked with me. On my first playthrough of Hades, I thought it would be a similar experience. It had the fantastic aesthetic I've come to expect from Supergiant, and it played like a Diablo game, but it was also very difficult, and I foresaw a lot of time needing to be dedicated to it before one could make their way through. Then 2 things happened. One was the different dialogue from the characters back in the hub world every time I failed a run. The second was that on a whim I decided to try the bow as a weapon and had my best run to date. I couldn't wipe the smile off of my face with how much I was enjoying moving from room to room and slaughtering enemies. I'm now excited to return to the game, not just to see more of how the world changes, but to see if all future weapons are as fun to play with as the bow is. Resident Evil 3 Remake. Despite my fear of horror games, there is something about the intro of the Resident Evil 3 remake that had me smiling and excited rather than tense and fearful. Perhaps it was the Valium I took earlier in the day to prepare myself for the vaccine, but I like to think it's because of the campy spectacle. I never played the original Resident Evil 3, but I know of the Nemesis, the relentless monstrosity that pursues Jill Valentine all over Raccoon City. My own encounter with this creature was amazing. Its dogged pursuit through the floors of the apartment, how the danger of the normal zombies paled in comparison to where the Nemesis might be, and how a rocket launcher didn't even face it. I didn't get to play too much past the intro, only briefly interacting with the subway and the crafting system. But if the rest of the game carries the same tone as that first encounter with the Nemesis, I think I'll have a blast. And if not, I'll persevere through the game, hopefully bringing me closer to being able to play horror titles. Eliza. I think Eliza was originally a virtual psychiatrist on the Mac. I have vague memories of playing around with it on a school computer. I was more familiar with Dr. Spatza, which came with my first Sound Blaster card. Anyways, Eliza is a game about a virtual psychologist. A startup employs people to be the human interface for the psychologist program. It monitors the vital signs of its patients, the language used, and creates a response which the proxy relays back to the patient. The player is one of these proxies on their first day at the job. It was the scene of the first patient and how that played out which cemented that I needed to play through the rest of the game. I can already see that the themes around tech startups, mental health, the well-being of workers, and the ethics of Eliza are going to raise some pertinent questions, and I look forward to seeing where this tale takes me and just how deep it digs into what it wants to talk about. And now we come to the games of the year. I made 8 critique videos in 2021. The games featured are Dark Souls, Prince of Persia 2008, Planescape Torment, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt plus DLC, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Outer Wilds, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, and Deus Ex. Which 3 delighted me the most? Let's find out. 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. You know, I'm kind of surprised I put 999 on this list. If you saw my video, you'd know that I had such an emotional reaction to the way the game played out on the Nintendo DS, where the hardware was part of the experience, that no matter the concessions made to get the game to run on one screen, it just wasn't going to be the same. I was right. The Nonary Games remake of 999 is a shade of the DS version. That being said, I still enjoyed my time with it. Much more than most of the games I played to completion this year, it seems. It could be because I'm currently in the middle of playing Virtue's Last Reward. It could be my memories of the DS playthrough, but most likely it's because even with the concessions made, I still find the story of 999 compelling. I like the characters, I like the twists and turns, and I like the ideas it plays with, like Ice 9 and the morphogenetic field theory. The puzzle rooms help break up the visual novel segments and are mostly enjoyable to solve themselves. If the game only served as a blueprint for Virtue's Last Reward, it'd be a worthy contender, but it really is a good game in its own right. It's just the DS version is a great game, and I don't think I'll ever get over that. Planescape Torment. What can change the nature of a man? This is the question at the heart of Planescape Torment, a game where the main character wakes up with the knowledge that he has lived countless lifetimes, but cannot remember who he is. As we play, we learn just what an impact the Nameless One has had on these worlds and the people who live in them, sometimes for good, mostly for ill. Does not remembering your past absolve you of your sins? What if you wake up as a different person each time you die? The reason I found Planescape Torment so enjoyable to play is how it slowly reveals these questions and ideas as the player is fumbling around the world, trying to discover the next step forward. How the Nameless One's companions are all tied to him through his past, and just how strongly the planes have been affected by the machinations of one man over millennia. Yes, the game is dialogue heavy. Yes, the combat system is severely lacking, but the writing and ideas at the heart of Planescape and the choices I made as a player have kept me thinking about the game, ensuring that I will play it again in the future. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. If we're just going by time played, Witcher 3 is far and above the winner. The main campaign and both DLCs clocked in at around 90 hours, and I could have easily put in more. Hell, I've wanted to play it again since making my video, because now that I know how the game works, I feel I could have a more enjoyable and efficient playthrough. The reason I'm saying this is The Witcher 3 is a big game. My critique was on the size of its open world and how losing oneself in it without a clear goal is likely why a lot of players never complete the game. It can be overwhelming. The solution I discovered to the problem was to focus on the immediate, the joy of riding Roach across the beautiful landscape, engaging with the quest in front of me, what the problem is and how I want to address it. Finally, focusing on Geralt and the people he cares about. By caring about the small and immediate in the face of the vast and overwhelming, I not only played the best open world game I've ever come across, but the best game of all of 2021. And now it's your turn. I'd love to know what games you enjoyed the most in 2021. Like my list, they don't have to be from 2021. I just want to know the best gaming experience you had in the previous year. What about them resonated with you so strongly? Let me know down in the comments. And there we go, another best of year video complete. I hope you enjoyed it. I wish you all a wonderful 2022. I hope things go well for all of us, and we do what we can to make the upcoming year the best it can be. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I'll see you all when my next video drops.